Obrigado. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour. Guten Morgen. Buenos dias. I think all is covered. I have the pleasure today to be here with such a great panel. I would say it's the best panel of the ebankIT Summit. We will be discussing trends, predictions. My name is Rui Brito. I'm a proud member of the sales team here at ebankIT. I have more than 20 years in IT, and I'm sure you can relate. Who could predict that we will be today here 20 years ago? All the twists and turns of technology, all the threats that are coming. Let's try to discuss it, okay? First up, ladies first.
Ooh.
Well, Carrie, you're already well known here in the audience, but let me highlight some things, of course. You're founder of Rockstar Advisory. We know it. Podcaster, open banking evangelist, and 2024 winner of International Woman of the Year at the Open Banking Export Awards. So, I would say let's start with your favorite word. I would say data, right?
Yeah.
Banks keep saying data is the new oil. This is my provocation, okay? But many still look like they're drilling with teaspoons. Why do institutions struggle so much to even see the data they already have, let alone monetize it?
I love this question because I address this a lot with folks, and especially when people want to get into a journey, even a simple journey. Well, not simple. We'll call it, let's just talk about a merger, right? When we're dealing with data, it's kind of like being at home and you're a hoarder and you've collected all of this stuff. And maybe you've got closets full of things and you're like, I want to sell the house now. Or I want to do something different. I want to renovate. And now you got to deal with all of the things. And unfortunately, that, sometimes you have time pressure to be able to organize it and know what you actually have is a big task in itself. And as we know, it's a simple thing. Garbage in, garbage out. If our data is just a complete unstructured mess, and in some places it's like, oh, there's that dusty closet, what's in there? We don't, that's a really big issue. So just getting the data prepared and ready, and also, and I know in our context in Canada, there's risks to now the data you hold. And so we have to really understand, what do I need to be successful and what should I be getting rid of? And that's really challenging, and it's kind of like, I'm going to put that off for another day because I just don't want to look at it.
That's a good point, because one never thinks about the data they hold. They have responsibility. Yep. Right?
Exactly.
Legal and yeah,
100%.
Sure.
So, and
if you
to
don't
that point,
use it, why might as well?
That people want to hold it, just like you want to, I might need that someday.
I'm that guy.
Right? Well, guess what? You're paying for that storage. And if you've seen people that get storage lockers to keep holding the stuff, well, we do that with servers and data. And before you know it, you're overwhelmed. And you just want to get rid of it all.
Hence the hoarders, yeah. That's it.
Yep.
Well, that really puts things in perspective, Carrie. Well, but if you have two roads to go, what could be worse? Having bad data or knowing that you have no data at all? Or not knowing you have data at all, not knowing.
Oh, do you know what though? Here's the thing. Sometimes I think starting from scratch is so much easier if you know exactly what your target is, right? You can start building it, or you can can absorb, you can buy it, there's all those things. But there's also a wealth of what you might have that might be differentiated. There might be things in there. So that's the balance. Personally, if I was dealing with a massive storage closet full of stuff, I think, I would hire somebody as an expert to go in and sort that for me.
So that would be the move. Well, starting from scratch surely will be easier, but moving from a data hoarder to a data whisperer, you would hire someone, right? That would be the strategy.
I think so. Somebody with objectivity. We can get passionate about, well, this is a data set or a bit of information that, has served us X, Y, Z. Or, sometimes there's fear about, well, what if I let something go that I might get my hand slapped for because I didn't retain something, those types of things. So, in this space now, we do have people who can start to sort through that for us, right? That can start to look at it and go, what's real, what isn't, and partnerships. So I'm a really big proponent of, in this time, and I love the last, our opening presentation when we got there. That's really it. We can't do it all ourselves anymore. So it's okay. Like, I'm a hoarder. It's fine. I'll acknowledge it. But now let me find the partnerships that can help transform that. Because once you do that well, everything else gets easier. Otherwise, you get a lot of broken projects or things that just don't align. So.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carrie. So let's move now from data to the brave, decentralized world of crypto, right? And composability. So maybe you all met Aju. Aju Kurian is Associate Director and Product Owner at AMINA Bank. He's pioneering the integration of blockchain technology into banking services. I've been told someone who wakes up thinking about composable architecture. I've been told, somebody told me that. Well, Aju, we are using this panel. The background of this panel is our ebankIT Trends and Predictions report. It's starting to get some traction in the industry, our report, and we are really proud of that. Using the approach of our report, I would like to make you a question that's the following. AMINA is a borderless bank, but borderless, it's not exact, right? So you still have borders in the form of compliance, right? Correct. Latency, for example, correct. And also coordinating teams. Does composable architecture help you to avoid the chaos, or just spread it in smaller, more modular blocks?
Yep. So yeah, great question. Good afternoon, everyone. So when I was thinking about this particular topic, right, and the spirit of hoarding and kind of simplifying problems. So when we as a bank, what we offer is we're the intersection of crypto and fiat. Markets move very quickly. We operate in multiple different jurisdictions. One of the reasons that kept us awake at night is that this constant question of how do you know what you don't know, right?
That's it.
And it's a very crippling question. And the more we try to figure that out, we just realize that it's okay, it's fine. You don't have to know everything. You just have to be good at judging what happens next, right? So you just have to have the right tools to basically respond to a particular problem. So what we did was, when you talk about decoupling, what we realized was that in traditional technology development, as Carrie also covered the people aspect of it, it's very coupled together, right? Yeah. It's very closely tied. It's a lot of introspection that you have to do to kind of break it up, right? And that's actually the hardest part of this particular problem. So once you break it up and you see the small pieces and how they interact, you very quickly, you'll identify that you need an abstract layer somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Because what we had at AMINA Bank is we constantly struggled with both fiat and crypto. And what we have is we have one system, and everyone's chipping away at that system, right? And as the bank grows, it's quite difficult to figure out how can you make a change to your individual component without affecting the system as a whole.
That's it.
So that's where composability, those conversations started happening. And again, it goes back to culture and how you think about the problem. So while we design systems that are composable, it's also quite important to identify people and processes that support that composability, because at the end of the day, execution is what matters. And for us, it's been instrumental as we expand geographies that we operate in. And our clients also are very digitally native, so they're very demanding. So I believe that
you have that exactly, that little extra. It's
correct. Yeah. And you get a certain, how do I say it, like a little bit of a kick when you realize that, okay, you have a problem, we create this abstract layer for you, and we attack the abstract layer. So our systems are always on, completely secure, and it provides like the most seamless experience for customers.
That's really interesting. Yeah. You know, during the summit, it's funny but not surprising that people is always a very important piece, right?
That's correct.
You can evolve technologically, but people is always important. Okay, so just another provocation regarding the same composability topic. So well, in a simple way, if composability means plugging and unplugging components like Lego, I would say, what's the piece of AMINA Bank you throw away first, right? Okay. And why, what would you replace it from? from the fintech ecosystems?
So someone once famous said that if all you have is a hammer, you tend to treat every problem like a nail, right? So in terms of a problem that we actively deal with is onboarding and compliance, especially when we're onboarding customers. So as a bank, we primarily cater to financial services for high net worth individuals. So the demands are quite high. And if you ask me, what is our Achilles' heel, or what is the thing that kind of drags us down, is essentially creating systems, processes, people, and aligning them very quickly with how regulations change. Right? So ever since I've been in university, we always learned that regulation is like a catch-up game. But I don't think that's the case anymore.
Really?
Right? Regulators are moving fast, especially in the geographies that we operate in, and it keeps us on our toes, right? And the most important thing is that it's not just the systems that we build, it's also getting together the right people and the right culture, which is actually the hardest part.
That's true. How is to go from, we spoke this earlier, but go from an unregulated world, because your company was like that, and then to step in the regulated world. That challenge, it's good for development, for creating new technologies, or would you prefer to be on a free-for-all and free to do anything you'd like?
I fundamentally believe rules are good, right? Rules help us define how, it gives us a sense of predictability.
I'm talking about technology, right? I'm not talking about...
I'm just getting to that.
respecting rules by itself.
So in terms of the regulations that we operate with, based on the jurisdictions that we have, right? We see more of these markets slowly opening up, right? And our customers are digitally native. So they expect a certain level of experience. And at the front of it, we just focus purely on giving them a sense of security while they transact. And it's this constant engagement with the customers that helps us get over the finish line.
Yeah.
It's still a work in progress, but we've made it.
Always will, right?
Completely, yeah. It's that culture.
That's the curiosity. Thank you so much, Aju. It was really a powerful insight. Thank you so much. Well, now let's change to someone that, well, sees the big picture too. We all met Lubomir yesterday, but allow me also to make a small introduction. You're Head of International Development and Member Relations at Qorus. You spend your time helping banks navigate transformation, ecosystems, and scaling.
Yeah.
We will also be based we will base our discussion also in our report. What I want to ask you, Lubomir, please shed some light. Banks love to talk about agility and innovation, but often they need 6, 7 steering committees just to prove a landing page, I've been told. So what's the secret to actually scaling digital transformation without suffocating it?
Yeah, you remind me of one story, where fintech, wanted to make a partnership with a bank, and then, they thought it might be something easy, but then they realized after 100 meetings they haven't started yet properly. But so that might happen. That's where we live in the world of, let's say, incumbent banks. But yeah, the people aspect is really important. When I visited ING, ING was one of the first banks implementing agility, the whole concept of agility. And it was interesting. It started in the Netherlands and then later in Belgium. It was interesting how different mentalities these companies are, because ING is the #1 bank there. And with the Dutch people, where the authority was less important than in the Belgium, was much easier. They started much quicker. It went much smoother. But it was scary because, everyone in the bank had to reapply for the position. So, everybody started from scratch, started, building up these squads, tribes, whatever you can imagine. And then, slowly, surely, they got to it, Thanks to that, they got 30% savings from all the people they had. And Belgium took a bit longer. So that's probably how important the people's aspect is. And I also experienced some of the banks, they really wanted to start it. But in the end, they were more playing that they are agile.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not real agility. Probably it happened to be in the IT department, but elsewhere, it also needs some more reflection, where it really makes sense and where it doesn't, yes? That we don't force it immediately everywhere at the same time.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you so much. Well, when every bank says our people are our biggest asset, do you think they really mean it? Or just, you know, just forgot to update the slide deck?
No. Yeah, definitely it is. Do you remember, mainly from America, the bank Simple? Yeah, it was acquired later on. And I talked to the CTO and he told me, you know what, I'm happy to share even the code, almost everything. But I'm sure you cannot copy our people. People are the main asset of this company. So that was something like striking me, okay? And that was 2015, 2016, so yeah, already more than 10 years ago. So the element is really important. Yeah, you have the best processes. If you don't have the people, yeah, that's another thing quite important. And again, you know, you wouldn't believe it, but our latest study report, we always produce this every year. We call it Innovation in Retail Banking. There was kind of also striking element revealed. More than 60% people are in the leadership. Yeah, in the leadership. They have no clear about their vision when it comes to new or reinventing themselves, finding new business models. They're kind of a little bit lost. And probably it's another question or statement. If you look at the boards, the C-level people, how many of them they have real technology background? Yeah. Yeah? You're right. Even we can probably ask here, but no, okay. But yeah. But that's the essential.
It's a good input. Do you think the financial institutions in the whole industries that they are more connected to that lack of vision on technology, more conservative, or it's just, you know, a false consideration?
You know, how you feel like? Because I like to follow what's going on in different banks, so I'm client of like 8, 10 banks, yeah? I don't know how about you, of course, including Revolut and everything. And yeah. You know what happened after some years? I don't know how about you, but when I open up a mobile app to another, almost all of them look the same. Almost the same journey, customer journey. So how we want to differentiate ourselves? Yeah. That's the question. When you have mobile app with blue eyes, everywhere.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So in a way, we need to think of, well, you know, again, because we are a commodity in the end of the day. So I like very much examples of, now I'm talking about outside Europe, like DBS, yeah? They used to be a really profound bank, you know it very well. And they really want to become a financial companion, really your financial advisor. You don't need to have this FOMO issue, yeah? The fearing of missing out. So why, you know, what I was showing yesterday, like NatWest, you know, they help you with your finances. So something more just typical mobile app. Of course, it's great. Now you can onboard yourself. I don't know how about you, but most of the banks within 10, 15 minutes with digital ID, you have bank account, you can bank almost immediately. Yeah, that's great. That happened regarding the rapidness. Yeah, but what about the rest? Do we really understand the customer? That's the question. Of course, we understand the customer when the customer banks with us. But what about other events, life events? Do we understand what your customer, you know, really need? I would actually give myself these questions.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Going a little bit back to agility, what do you think it would be? How can you embed agile culture in institutions that are still with the quarterly waterfalls model? How can you do that? How can you trigger that, if possible?
That's It's a lot about ego, yeah. That's
Oh, do you think so? It lands in that,
yeah.
right?
I mean, yeah, unfortunately, yeah. This is and the corporate politics, obviously, but and that's what happened to small organizations. They were very agile and everything. Then when they started becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, the culture and everything, the spirit has disappeared. So it's not easy answer. Very much depends on all the leadership.
Yeah.
And that persistence, to keep it simple, Again, good example are from, other big techs, I would say, to learn from them, like how Amazon and others do it. Probably. Go ahead.
It's so
Please do.
interesting as I'm sitting here and I'm going, one of the realities of banking, and let's just take the tech out of it entirely, and it is this, there's two pressures.
Yeah.
There's we want to get business and transactions done cheap. And when I started my career, I was with a large Canadian bank in the contact center. And this was when we were first launching like internet banking. And at that time, we were the disruptors. The branches were like, these people are going to eat our lunch. Like, you guys are threatening to us. But it was so different because there's two pressures here. And I see the same thing heightened by AI and data, which is we really want this high growth, get the transaction done. And that pushes people to be transactional, right?
Got it.
So now, I'm thinking about this because usually the first thing is, let's take out the cheap talent, the front line, who are your advocates. And so if you look at Klarna and what happened there, where they fired 700 frontline people, and now they're paying for it. They're going, oh boy. Well, they didn't think it through, right? You talk about the culture. Who's the representative of that? So when you're using these tools, just like we had this similar thing back in the day, right? It was about who can build the trust with that as we go. Now, the bigger you get these issues. You get more pressure, especially you start bringing in private equity and boards that, guess what? They don't really care about that fluffy stuff. Just get the money. And that's a reality. But then, over time, if you dilute it, it starts to roll. So, and I think for credit unions, this is your priority. Like, this is one thing I think with growth you have to watch is, do you become more like the big commodity, or do you start to actually get creative and do a different journey, right? So it's a tough spot that you have to navigate.
I just want to add something, right, on just carrying the theme from your conversation also. A large part of some of the problems that we deal with is actually enabling not just the customer, something a bit underlooked or overlooked in some senses. How are you enabling your employees to really
That's the point,
take
right?
the ownership, right?
Yeah.
And even with AI and in simplifying customer experiences, where we find a larger success or a faster rate of success is when we enable employees with automation, simplification of processes. It can be even something as simple as standardizing and reviewing the data that comes in, right? Once you see that happening right in front of you, what we realize is that employees kind of take the mantle up and they just run with it, right? And that's and I think that's the best driver because it's almost contagious. It just spreads to the customer itself. So
that's really how to put the whole philosophy inside and outside doors, right?
Correct.
That's a great input. Well, I just have to thank you for this small talk. This short talk. Of course, the challenge is launched. We will keep our conversations today, even during lunch. And thank you so much for joining the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.